Welcome to the Smart City Forum. So excited to see all of you here this morning. Today is really about you. It's about your ideas and your ability to help build this amazing city and cities like ours here in Denver through technology. Your ideas, together with everyone else's, we really believe will create the we that we need to be able to solve these really, really big problems in front of us. The good news is, as I was looking at the group and I saw the guest list this morning, the group assembled here, our city happens to be in really amazing hands. We just need to determine what we want to work on and how we all want to align, how we want to collaborate and partner, and most importantly, these large problems that are facing us and the cities like Denver, how we want to accomplish and define what's most important here. People, not technology, are really the ones who will create the smart cities of tomorrow. So welcome to the Smart City Forum. So we hope this day is filled with ideas and opportunities, and these ideas and opportunities turn into plans to elevate Denver, not only here locally, but on the global stage. But to get started, it's most important that we give thanks and gratitude to those who really are the brainchild behind today's gathering. And so we need to thank Matt McAllister. You know who you are, sitting right over here. Our Smart City Project Manager for the City of Denver, with his time in the White House under the tutelage of Ms. Megan Smith, who's also here today, who was the CTO for the United States of America under the Obama administration. It's not a surprise that he crafted this event one by one with many individual emails to put the right people in the room to break down walls, to discuss real ideas, and create a forum for all of us in this city to collaborate and most importantly, get to know each other, to forge partnerships. So before we start this day, I want to give him not only one round of applause, 2 rounds of applause. So Matt, congratulations. So innovation is everywhere, and when I say everywhere, it's absolutely everywhere. 2018 is the year that I bought my first personal robot. Her name is Misty. I can't wait for her to arrive on December 4th. I'm already gearing up with all the tools and activities I get to teach Misty to do around my house. So far, I've seen opportunities for her to do backflips, scale walls, run through the house to help my children, and even the idea that she might be able to catch a football. They're here. Our friends and our robots are here, and we're all going to need to learn how to integrate them in our lives, and most importantly, in our communities. Autonomous vehicles, as we all know, are coming of age, and after years of testing and technologies, these systems are just at the dawn of prime time. Right here in Denver, we have Panasonic, who's been working incredibly hard on the next generation of projects to solve mobility, and hopefully not only help us get from here to there, but to the mountains even that much faster. Just this week, Governor Hickenlooper formed the Blockchain Council, and the CEO of the National Cybersecurity Center, a guy by the name of Vance Brown, said he wants Colorado to be the Silicon Valley of blockchain. I thought all that sounded fine and good, but I'd rather be the Denver of blockchain, and I'm really excited to see that industry growing up in our city. And then when we think about walking through our city, digital monitoring has really reached new heights. We can now order everything from a coffee to reserve our parking spot through advanced monitoring, and in many cases, smart city technology. Monitoring our environment and the data and information on it will not only become mature in the coming years, but balancing privacy with convenience in our cities will be the battleground ahead. It takes people and minds to solve these things. Technology alone cannot merely even begin to touch the challenges in front of us. And last and most exciting is space. We're now printing jet propulsion engines on 3D printers, and what used to take years now takes months. And the engineering to refuel propulsion systems in mid-flight from meteorites and asteroids is something that somehow is real. These are probably things that Megan Smith and Google X and Google Labs, it's no change to her to hear something so crazy. But there's already companies like Relativity Space that are actually printing these propulsion systems. And there's companies like Asteroid Mining Corporation that's working on its pilots to actually mine asteroids for propulsion fuel to refuel rockets in space. So all this is being done to 24/7 video record the Earth. Again, a smart city tenet that's not possible without all of us understanding what's on the horizon too. These technologies, as amazing as they are, will require us all to think differently, and most importantly, the infrastructure to access is either non-existent, or we really need to think big to provide the bandwidth and capabilities for these activities to become real. Meaning, we'll need to probably build entirely new different systems to support these and many of these things today. So why Denver, you ask? What's going on? What's going on in Denver now? Well, I think Denver's at a special place and a special time, and we've been here before. Tammy's always said, Tammy Dorr, who's the president of Downtown Denver Partnership, has always said, Denver's been entrepreneurial. We've always gone through cycles, but never have we had this much collective opportunity in front of us. We were here with cable television in the 1980s. We were again there with telecom in the late 1990s. But now in 2018, the digital revolution is in front of us, and there are pockets all over the city that are bubbling with amazing activities. Why am I so confident? Aren't all the rise of the rest of cities like us? Isn't everywhere that's not New York or San Francisco kind of feeling the economy? I think not. I'm proud to say, proudly, no. There's not any other city in the United States that's like us right now. Not at all. We have a special stacked deck, and in the last 5 years, many related activities and achievements and programs have painted our future that I think when you hear the list collectively, you're going to be like, oh my gracious. We are in a special time, in a special place, in the brightest city in the world. If you can remember back 5 years, we were rising out of the economic meltdown, and TARP was being paid off. I forget even what the acronym TARP even means. And Denver was poised to return faster than normal, and because it was one of the best cities in the United States that was able to weather the storm. But it was not a way remotely to predict what was going to happen between 2012 and 2017. In terms of innovation and technology in our city, it's been amazing to see the growth. We've had over $1 billion in funding just in the last year, and I think in the first 2 quarters of this year, we're already halfway there with just funding alone. Not only that, we're a city that is defined by our restaurants now, and we're defined by the entrepreneurial economy that's really driving our activity here in our city. We've had over our first IPO in years was last year with SendGrid going public in the fall, and so things are on a tear. But when you look at the real story, when you look at the last 5 years, it's the birth of Union Station and creating a front door for the city. It's Denver Startup Week that's now the largest free entrepreneurial event in the world. It's Galvanize that painted the picture of what co-working could be and education and skill schools could be in the United States by spawning not 1, but 12 different offices around the US. It's the Colorado Innovation Network that brought together all the innovators in the state and to have national and global dialogue with the best innovators in the world. It was Uber coming to Colorado and not being able to drive their cars, and it was the governor and his team being able to say the Colorado solution is a solution that Uber is going to take out not just to Colorado, but to all the states in the United States. We define that. It was Comcast moving their entire innovation team to downtown Denver. It was the Blackstone Entrepreneurship Network and Blackstone deciding to invest $3 million for the first entrepreneurial network in the United States to be built right here in our city. It was KPMG, one of the 4 largest accounting firms, deciding to build their very first ignition and innovation center in the world right here in Denver, Colorado. It was Panasonic building the U.S. Innovation Headquarters. It was McKinsey in the last 36 months has gone from 6 employees to 140 employees, and it's the fastest growing McKinsey office in the history of McKinsey's existence. The patent office has defined us from a center city, and Uber decided they didn't have just enough with being able to drive their cars in the state, but to be able to autonomously drive a Budweiser semi-tractor trailer from Fort Collins to Colorado Springs just to test the ability for Otto and Uber on our roads was this perfect state to do it. Apple, Facebook, and Amazon now call downtown home. And Home Advisor moved downtown, which quietly in 5 years has gone from a company less than $1 billion to now a $6 billion juggernaut that lives in Rhino. Vista Equity Partners, 4 years ago, no one knew who they were. Today they own 5 companies and have over 3,000 employees in our center city. And IPOs between Zayo and SendGrid, the city is back. But Techstars decided after years in Boulder that Denver, they had to have an outpost. And just this fall opened a Techstars accelerator in our city. Pivotal Labs builds the most important software and platform that drives all of software engineering in the world, called Pivotal Tracker, right here on Platt Street. Slack and Strava couldn't stay away. 550 engineers and another 90 from Strava moving to our city in just the last 6 months. And when you look at the Kauffman Foundation, they made a choice to invest in their very first equity and gender and women-based entrepreneurial program at the Commons on Champa and put over $400,000 to drive the engagement around these diversity and inclusion programs right here in our city. Steve Case and the team from Rise of the Rest decided they needed to be in Denver and was one of the best tour stops in history. And since then, in 2012, we have 60 startup resources and organizations, 8 new accelerator programs, over 20 co-working spaces, 3 WeWorks alone in our center city, and our meetups have gone from 9 in 2012 to over 90 a month on the topics of innovation and entrepreneurship. And that doesn't even include the A-Line, doesn't include Food and Wine Awards, it doesn't include mobility and the expansion of bike lanes, it doesn't include the millennial boom and the housing boom, it doesn't include the Outdoor Rec Show and the Great American Beer Fest, but most importantly, it does include the sun, that 300 days that we get to enjoy every single year. But when we look what's happened in the last 5 years, these industries have sprouted up. We knew they existed 5 years ago, but today, when we look at cybersecurity and digital health, we have meaningful clusters in our city that are defining us, not just here, but they're defining us across the United States. The innovation economy in the world is changing, and in Denver, we have an opportunity, and we have an opportunity, I would suggest, that's once in a millennium to harness this energy, this love of our city, and the innovation in our city to do something that's incredible. So today, let's seize it. Let's seize the opportunity to take the time to forge these ideas and create something truly, truly special. Great cities, as I mentioned, are built by amazing people. That's you. Let's do it. Let's do it now. And how we do it, that, I believe, is the question. So how do we harness the power of innovation at scale? To capture the energy and the opportunity to define Denver as the smart city, we must and we have to work together. We have to be aligned. The cities that win, like Boston and Los Angeles, that are clearly starting to make some incredible strides, in, not just in their own city, but nationally, I think as Matt has talked to me about, they are built around teams. They're focused on cultivating an environment where the norm is aligned self-interest, where there's always teams before self. Collaboration is a norm, and Colorado and Denver is known for our ability to collaborate and work with one another. Compromise isn't just a word, it's an activity. We understand where we need to come together to find real value with each other. Bias to open networks and platforms, it's not closed and controlled, it's open and sharing. And there's shared recognition. It's in the mentality that anything we build, there's not one winner or one person taking or one organization, but all of us can say, in Denver, we did this, and proudly stand tall and do that. It's built on partnership and, most importantly, bold leadership. And I think we're lucky in this moment in time to have leaders like Mayor Hancock and Governor Hickenlooper, our elected officials in those roles that not only care about innovation, but want this city and want this state to be defined by its future. Good news, with our Western hustle, our giddy-up attitude, and our ability to collaborate and partner, I think we have a unique advantage to succeed. I'm hoping that our humbly brilliant ethos and our unpretentious attitude will give Denver a true advantage as we go forward. So together, I really believe we can do anything. And apart, I think we'll create chaos. Smart cities and this topic is one of the most complicated things that we're tackling. There's a million different ways we can approach it. There's tens of technologies. There's massive hurdles. There's public policy. There's issues with talent. And most importantly, in the middle of it, we have to solve the infrastructure to be able to move massive amounts of information to solve these issues. Apart, we will create chaos. So today, let's embark on this journey today, the Smart City Forum, and explore the ideas, learn from one another, build relationships, and align our interests so we can leave this experience today and put the shovels in the ground, the real shovels, the hard work shovels, the ones that force us to learn, force us to stumble, but more importantly, allow us to win and build the Denver of the future together. It's ours to create. It's absolutely ours to define. The best Denver's on the horizon, and what I'm most excited is this room is going to take a step today to create it. So let's get started. Thank you very much. So for today, we have 3 tracks we're going to be talking about: talent, policy, and civic infrastructure. And we have influential leaders in each and every track that are going to end with a Spark format that is 5 minutes each of advancing slides around topics in each one of our core tracks. After each of the presenters on the Spark Talks present, we will then break into groups for approximately 30 minutes each to discuss what each speaker's Spark was focused on and allow us to really engage in these core topics. Casual format, so we encourage you to jump in. These really cool tables are built for collaboration. And so we'll be able to find space throughout the entire area to break out after each one of these topics. Remember, we're going to need one note taker for each one of the activities that we have. And we'd like you to remember, after each of the sessions, we're going to come back here to go to the next track. We'll collect notes for 5 minutes, and then we'll call time, and we'll discuss each of the group's major points for about 20 minutes before we move on to the agenda of the day. We have plenty of areas today to break out. This is a casual environment, and the intent is how do we connect? How do we build relationships? How do we come together? And most importantly, how do we find those uncommon commonalities among us that allow us to do radical things? So talk a lot, engage a lot, ask a ton of questions, get to know one another, ask the uncomfortable questions, learn about each other, and most importantly, take the time to dive into the issues that you're passionate about. Across the realm of talent, policy, and civic infrastructure, everyone has their top 1 or 2 things that they are jumping out of bed to solve. Let's get in those groups so we're not just individual soldiers that are walking around the city, but we're entire platoons of leaders that are trying to solve these massive opportunities.